and I'll stream it.
We're live.
We're live.
You did it. You did it.
I did it. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Live at 7.
Live at 7.
Or Sundays at 7.
Sundays at 7. Hold on. I'm just trying to share it from my page. And then we can get started.
Get the party started.
Please comment any names you want read off in honor of Overdose Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, guys, we have a new thing going for the month of August, since it's Overdose Awareness Month, that if you comment in the feed section, someone's name that you want honored, we will read it off at 7:30 after we have a moment of silence.
Yeah, so please fill the comment thread with names. We'll read them all off.
Yeah.
And give your loved one a little bit of remembrance, memoriam, through our live podcast or our live feed.
And we'll be doing this every Sunday for the next, I think there's either 5 Sundays in August, actually. So we'll be doing this every Sunday at 7 in August. And Kim G said hi, and Kathy Toronto Spencer said, yeah, Kathy Spencer Toronto said hi too.
Hi guys. Thanks
hi
for tuning
guys. In. So we have Charlie Frost here, who is someone who really advocates for this disease of addiction, right? And used to be a Waltham firefighter. Someone who's lost his son to this disease, and we're here to talk to him and learn a little bit about his story.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm not really much of a speaker as far as getting out into groups like this. Let's see. I've done 37 years on the Waltham Fire Department. 35 years into it, I lost a bladder. So I was out injured for 2 years, wound up getting retired. I'm done with the fire department. My job the last 5 or 6 years on the fire department was we responded to overdoses in the city of Waltham. The deputy and his aide responded to every overdose that occurred during our shift. I'm sad to say we average one a day, minimum one a day. Some nights were worse than others. Some days were worse than others. So I was very familiar with it, but I had 2 sons. My youngest son was addicted to heroin. My oldest son was raging alcoholic. He had wanted nothing to do with his younger brother because he was on heroin. And I don't even think he could probably out of the word substance use disorder. He had other words for his brother's addiction. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with probably what came out of his mouth, but he had no use for him because he was on heroin. And he thought he was so much better, he just drank and smoked weed. He quit drinking, and he tried the geographical quitting. That didn't work for him. He wound up in somewhere out in the Midwest. He wound up back here. He became sober. He was sober about 1.5 years. He was over at the Hurley house for a little over about a year, almost 1.5 years. And he enjoyed his time there. He wound up taking a job at the day shelter on Felton Street as a quote security. So he was over there every day and then he worked the nights at the shelter when it was at Bright School. So the city shelter. About 1.5 years after being sober, he started drinking again. and he relapsed. And then he was running with some friends that were snorting cocaine. He started snorting cocaine, and about 2 weeks later had a batch that was laced with fentanyl, and they found him dead in his apartment. So that was tough. I was still technically on the fire department, but I was out injured when it happened. They sent a car to pick me up, take me to the house, get things straightened out. The younger one is 2.5 years on Suboxone. He's taking a job with the US Post Office. He's working every day. He's on the Suboxone. As far as I know, he has no real issues. I try to talk to him every day. But in the course of him having his addiction and the addiction with the other one, I started attending a Learn to Cope meeting in Framingham. There was nothing close in Waltham. It was either Cambridge or Dedham or Framingham, and I chose Framingham. And my girlfriend and I were going to Learn to Cope meetings every week. It became our date night. We went, go out to dinner, and then go to the meeting. I started trying to bring the meeting back to Waltham. I met with the health nurse, the health department nurse, and we tried to get some set up here. I also attended a lot of the resource nights here in Waltham, and it was Waltham Overcoming Addiction. We had the run on the Common. They had the day on the Common, and then
Yeah, we were supposed to have it in September this year.
right.
I just want to give a couple of people are commenting. I also want to say hi to someone else we have on Zoom. Feel free to interact with us anytime. So let's see. So Teresa Chiappa Ligerio said, "Happy Sunday, everyone. Thank you for your dedication." It's Mike's mom.
Hi, Mom.
She said, "You could be doing anything today, yet you chose to help others in need." Thanks, Teresa.
Wow.
That was really nice. Michelle Manning, hi, says hi, everybody. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Mandy says, hi, everyone. Love you all. She said, hi, Charlie. Thank you so much for being a guest tonight and speaking. Olga Anna Castillo also says hi. So we just have a couple comments and stuff like that. And just, I guess we'll keep reminding everyone that if you have a loved one who lost their life to the disease of addiction, put their name in the chat and we will read it off at 7:30. So if anyone's watching that didn't see that, make sure to comment. I have a couple names already. I'm writing them down, and we'll have a moment of silence for all of those in honor of Overdose Awareness Month.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. So Charlie, you talked about that form of an accidental overdose. Was that common during your latter years with the fire department, seeing that unexpected overdose because of an unexpected drug that they weren't expecting to get when they purchased it?
We've run into that. I've run into it a few times. We actually went to a house one night. The gentleman was 68 and he was on the floor. We knock-canned him. He came to. He says, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. He swore up and down he didn't do drugs. Then come to find out he was at a party smoking weed. Somebody had laced the weed with fentanyl. It was because that's all the Narcan only works on an opioid.
Right.
And he swore that all he did was smoke. So if it was in the weed, he got it somehow.
He got it somehow, got into his system, and he didn't even know. He wasn't even an opiate user. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's it does happen. And what we run into a lot is people that have overdosed, gone to the hospital, Narcan, come home. If they leave that's why they have to go to the hospital now, is so that they don't use again immediately and try to use the same dose because it's too much.
Right.
Same with somebody coming out of a detox, sectioned, something like that. They come home and they say, well, I used so much, this amount last time, and they do it again, and it's been so long that they've needed that dose. The extra, the bigger dose is what really gets to them. So we have seen it.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about your involvement with Learn to Cope. What's the model of a typical Learn to Cope meeting for someone who's probably watching and they haven't attended or haven't been able to?
What I'd like to do, if I got a couple of minutes, I'd like to read the mission statement.
Sure.
Perfect.
But you got to bear with me because it's on my phone and I have to use a magnifying glass to see it because I don't have it on. My printer wouldn't pop it out.
And family members who have a loved one that may be watching that's suffering from substance use disorder, this is crucial because this is one of the best resources around for if you have a loved one to get support and guidance, knowledge, and education about the disease of addiction.
So you just said that, and we got a comment from Jean-Ann Ciarletta. She said, hello, everyone. Thank you for sharing and having an insight as a parent of addiction. I can imagine what you've seen and actually have to deal with internally, and you still have to internally process. Thank you again for your strength to share. So that was a comment about, just the perspective of a parent in this situation.
Yeah. Okay, Learn to Cope is a support group that was created by parents for families that are dealing with addiction and recovery and their effect on all of us. We're all here for the same reasons, not to tell others what to do, but to share our experiences, wisdom, strength, resources, and most importantly, hope. Our meetings are closed, which means that to attend, you must be 18 years of age or older, and the parent, family member, spouse, or loved one of a person affected by addiction or recovery. Above all else, we value the confidentiality of anything said here and the privacy of our group members. Please remember that anything that is said in this meeting stays in the meeting. Our meetings offer a safe place where you're free to share without being judged. Therefore, it is important that we show that as group members, we show support for each other by showing respect, empathy, and tolerance for each other's decisions and opinions, being mindful of how we communicate with others and always using considerate language, putting aside personal differences we may have, and having greater sensitivity, awareness, and understanding that we are all at different stages in this journey, and each holds personal beliefs about what is best for us and our loved ones. So that's basically read at the beginning of every meeting. We're mostly parents, family. We have had spouses, so
Right.
it's open. Siblings. Last week we had a girl speaker at one of our meetings whose brother had a substance use disorder, and how it affected her and what went on with her and him during that turmoil.
So you've had a lot of people come to you guys for support. This has been something that, is so needed and so helps the stigma of people have lost someone or have someone suffering, and we come together and we can share in the pain and we can do all that because no one can understand how you feel like another parent.
Right. We try not to direct somebody on what they should do.
Right.
I might tell somebody what worked for me. I had this situation come up last week. This mother her son doesn't live with her, and she's complaining that she sends him a text and he doesn't answer. She sends him a text and he doesn't answer. You know, I don't know what's going on with them. So last week, 2 weeks ago, I told her, try this. It worked. I do it. It worked for me. I don't text him. I don't text my son.
Okay.
Well, a day and a half later, 2 days later, he's texting me, everything all right? Are you okay?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like,
Little reverse psychology.
right, she tried it and it
Yeah.
worked. And her son
Wow.
reached out to her and she was like, okay, this is, and it worked because she was, every morning she would text him and she'd torture herself all day because he wouldn't answer her,
Right.
you know?
And then you think the
because-
worst.
Right. So now
Right.
she's worried and it's, you know, and as parents, we have a lot of worry. We don't know where they are, what they're doing. I mean, our group has gone from a mother who son was living in a tent in Lowell, but she made sure that he had a gym membership so he could take a shower every day.
Wow.
He'd go to the gym. We have a woman in our group. Her son went once to detox. That was it. Never had a problem again. And he just celebrated 5 years the other night.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like I call her our one and done.
Right.
A one and done, yeah. Not typical, but it happens.
It does happen. And
Does
this is
happen.
this is what we range in. I mean, we've got a woman that we've got grandparents taking care of their grandkids.
Right.
We've
That's a
got-
big thing too, you know, because when parents, you know, lose custody, like I was very grateful for my mother and my son's grandmother who helped and took over, you know, because, and they need support too, because they didn't think they're going to be dealing with, you know, having to raise their grandkids and deal with a child who suffers from this disease. It's so unexpected. And we actually have someone who said, as a parent, from Kathy Bruden, she said, as a parent, the pain that comes with your child suffering an active addiction is unbearable at times. She is dealing with the texting. Her son has not responded since Friday.
So
and then-
take Charlie's advice. That was some good advice.
Yeah,
Don't
Yeah.
get the gears going.
Just
Let life happen. Surrender the result.
right. And then my mom said, hi, gang. Connor and I are checking in. Hi, Connor. Miss you. That's my little 5-year-old who is very upset. So we're not home right now. So I gotta say hi to Connor.
Tell the folks where you are so they can live vicariously through you.
I'm at the Encore Casino tonight.
Look at you living it up.
Woo! Doing my Sundays at 7 from here. You know,
Nice.
just
Nice place to do it from.
yeah, exactly. A nice little parents' night out.
That's it. Well deserved.
But I'm still doing this, right? Because this is so important to all of us that no matter what, we gotta try to give back the best we can. A little bit.
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm in this lush surroundings right now.
So Charlie, who typically facilitates a group? Is it random? Do you guys have a chairperson? Do you guys have like a bookie that calls in, you know, speakers and stuff like that? How does that work?
we have parent facilitators. I am a facilitator, and we rotate through weekly. Myself and my girlfriend are facilitators. Some nights we work together. Some nights we work with another person. There's always at least 2 when we had the in-person meetings. Now on the Zoom, it's kind of the director of Learn to Cope is pretty much popping in or there. Somebody from the office is there weekly to try to facilitate, but to help us with the facilitating because of the computer work.
Right. And making sure the environment's safe for loved ones who are there for support and
Right.
like you read in the mission statement.
Yeah. And we have joined, what they did is they joined groups. We met on Wednesdays in Framingham. Also on Wednesday night, there was a Dedham meeting and a Taunton meeting. So what they did was everybody comes to the same Zoom meeting.
Just combine all 3, yeah.
And they combine all 3 of them, and it makes it a little bit easier. And it also makes for a much bigger group. We've had 30, 35 people you know, at a group. And we try to make sure that everybody is, has a chance to speak as far as somebody having an issue tonight or, you know, in crisis or
Mhm.
problems like that. We also provide Narcan training.
Oh, good.
And, now they are going out and delivering it if it needs to be done to, you know, people that are in the group. So it's, you know, and we have speakers, they pull in speakers. I mean, we've gone from Dr. Ruth Pote to,
Amazing. She's amazing.
Yeah.
it was amazing. And
Yeah.
then, and I was in they have offshoots of the Learn to Cope. I was in one for a grief support group. It Learn to Cope with grief, and it kind of it helped me out. And you know, that one's on Monday. That's Monday nights. We're on Wednesday nights. And on Sunday, it's like there's something going on for somebody somewhere all the time. And
Do you find, since the meetings have been on Zoom, do you find more parent or loved one participation? Or would you say it was more so when you guys were live in person?
Good
I
question.
would say it's more live in person.
More so people were more apt to ask for help in person rather than on Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can walk into a meeting to show up at a Zoom meeting. You don't even know what you're going into.
Right.
Right.
I mean, I did not expect this to be I expected to be 20, 30, 40 people, but now we're live on Facebook. I've never done that.
Yeah.
No.
But it's easier because you don't see the faces, so you're all right.
Yeah, I know. But you know, you do see them on the, yeah, a lot of Learn to Cope, the privacy issue is a big thing. They want to make sure that,
Right.
you know, but I walked into a meeting and it's my first meeting and it's like, wow, all these people are here for the same reason I am.
So someone just said, and I think it was Julie, they said, Charlie, who's your helper? Can we see her?
No. Julie, she's very shy. It's Sandra. She has been at she was at the resource nights with me and she was at the Common last September. But she goes to work at 5 o'clock in the morning at the hospital. So she takes a shower early. And once she takes her shower, I'm lucky I see her.
That was a quick note. You guys must have discussed that before the show.
Exactly.
You were prepared. You were prepared for that.
Shut down right away. Debbie just said too, Charlie, thank you and Sandra for everything you do.
And thank you for your service, Charlie.
Yeah.
And, in the community, being a retired firefighter. We haven't mentioned that, but thank you for civil service to us. So we really appreciate it, especially someone who has compassion and empathy towards addicts and people who suffer from substance use disorder. It's vital to have our first responders equipped with some of the knowledge you have. So thank you very much.
And to break down the stigma a little bit, for first responders to not treat people who suffer from addiction like they're the J word, or like they're a piece of crap on the side of the road, and just to have some dignity when dealing with them. I've worked with so many police officers who are unbelievable with this stuff.
Right. Now, I did a lot of work with John Brooks, JP Brooks. We actually had he set up talks for me to go to, I talked to everybody on the fire department, 180 guys. I went to every group. We had a meeting and I told them my story about my kids. And my thing was, we had one house. I'm not going to tell you where. I'm not going to get into names or anything like that. 5 nights in a row, this guy overdosed.
Wow.
5 nights in a row. And it gets up that address again. We're going there again. And when I talked to the guys and I told them, look, this is somebody's son. This is somebody's child. This is somebody's loved one, family member.
Right.
This is what it is. I have this problem in my own family. We're going to run into it. Well, out of the 180 guys, I would say 11 of them reached out to me after these meetings that they had a problem with a brother, a cousin, a nephew, someone. It affects everybody, everywhere.
So I actually have a couple comments. Debbie said she's going through the no answers right now, so she's going crazy, but trying to let go and let God. Peter Burke, one of our favorite people, says, thanks for being there for people. Thank you, Peter, for all you do.
Thanks, Peter.
Raymond Byrne Jr. said, friend of Pat C. He was on a couple weeks ago, just turned on your page for meeting notifications. Awesome.
Awesome.
Welcome, Raymond.
We love Patsy.
Love Patsy. So Blue Iris Bowman has a couple questions. She said, do people feel it's less private on Zoom, and do loved ones have to be on cameras on to go to Zoom Learn to Cope meetings? So do they have to show their face? Do they have to be on camera, or how does it work?
No, they can join by just phone. And what we're finding is, and this is the problem with this quarantine or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I'm having a meeting talking about that kid over there, and he's here.
Right.
And it's not as easy to do.
Oh, right.
I didn't even think of that.
Go to a building and go inside, and it's totally, you know, I mean, I have one woman that she has to have her her substance use disorder son set up her Zoom meeting so she can join the meeting. But then she's like, okay, you can go away now. You know?
Yeah, you gotta go a few rooms away so you don't hear what I'm about to say about you.
Right, exactly. I know.
And I mean, she's run into some issues where it's, you know, I think I'm gonna have to section them. And it's like,
right,
who's gonna set up a Zoom meeting, you know?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, they are a little shy coming in. They don't have to. We'd like to know, Learn to Cope has a website, Learn to Cope, cope.org. And there's all kinds of, there's 24/7 message board. There's all kinds of information, where the meetings are, when the meetings are. And they can get in touch with somebody that will tell them, you know, this group may be a good fit for you if you're in Bridgewater or Taunton, or, you know. So there is information. She went to the slot machine.
Yeah, I think she got a craving to go play.
No, someone was knocking on the door, and he thought I requested a robe and a rollaway bed, and he kept knocking. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, it's not for me.
I ordered that.
Just take the robe, take it.
They're like, did you request a robe and a rollaway bed? And I'm like, I'm on a call. Like, no, I didn't request anything. So sorry about that.
So it's just about 7:30. Do you want to get that started? Because before I start asking more questions and we get into it.
So we have a few more comments. Kathy Bruden said she worked for the fire department for 20 years, and it was difficult to tell anyone my son has addiction disorder. So absolutely.
You can tell us. We're here to help. This is what we do.
We break down stigma. Boom.
We get people quick access to treatment. We have some recovery coaches on our team.
Yep.
We have a kind, loving, compassionate team. We do some family consulting as well. So just reach out to us, please. We're here to help.
And my mom just texted me, I remember chasing you in Brighton when you were with someone. It's an awful feeling when you can't control the situation. I'm sorry, Mom, but look at me now, right? Trying to help and not have to, any parent have to chase their child around in Brighton Center like my mother did. So it's 7:30 right now. I have a small list of names of those loved ones who have lost to the disease of addiction. We're going to have a moment of silence and then go through these names. And if anyone during this moment of silence has another name, please list it now on here so that I can read it off for everyone. So again, put a name in the comment that you want read in honor of those we've lost for August being Overdose Awareness Month. So I guess we'll take a moment of silence right now. Okay, so I'll start with our names. And again, please keep commenting them in the next few minutes. So we have first CJ Frost, Charlie's son, who we've lost to this disease. Justin McKellen, Michael Patrick Murphy, Carrie Ann Murphy, Liz Caleri, Sean Staunton, Daniel Rooney, Lee Higgins, Derek Colston, Michelle Reedy, and Olga said Clifton. So if anyone else has names, we're going to be trying to keep track of them, and that every Sunday in August at 7:30 we'll have a moment of silence and we'll read these names off. And if during the week you have someone you want mentioned, just message our page and we'll get that list going to kind of have a, I guess, live overdose vigil on our Sundays at 7 to really honor those we've lost to this, and so that we can keep fighting against it, right? Mike, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. How'd that happen? Charlie's muted also.
Oh, I didn't mute anybody.
Okay, it wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
So-
I would never mute you.
So let's talk a little bit about CJ's life. What was his interest? Let's humanize CJ a little bit, because
Yep.
I'm sure he in his younger years, he was a bright kid. I'm sure he had hobbies and passions and stuff like that. What was CJ like in your
I love it, Mike.
view?
CJ was a hell of a catcher in baseball. He loved to play baseball. He loved lacrosse. He went to Western New England College in Springfield on a scholarship. They were playing down in Virginia, and he broke his wrist. And that kind of started the downfall as far as he wanted out of school because he couldn't play, and he started drinking. And I know a lot of problems start with a break like that, and opioids, things of that nature. He didn't go that way, but he did drink and he did smoke his weed. He loved lacrosse. He could live in the woods if he had to, no problem at all. He loved the outdoors. He loved to work with his hands. And that's pretty much it. He put a lot into it. The week before he passed away, he was at my house going to blue board my office. And that's when I was trying to get a hold of him, I couldn't get a hold of him. Find out when he was coming back to finish, and they did a well-being check on him, and that's when he was found. So.
And how old was he?
39.
Yeah. So young, so young. We've talked about it on here. We had my friend Murph on here he's my friend, but his son he lost, who was my friend 7 months ago, and same thing. And it's just, it's horrific. And it's horrific that any parent ever has to go through losing a child, especially when it's so unnecessary, but we have this disease that we don't want to die, but we just think we're invincible. We think that will never happen to us. That's nothing we have to ever worry about. I'm a smarter drug addict than everybody else. I'm not going to die, but then we're not invincible. And it's such a harsh reality of the situation.
Right. And when CJ passed, my youngest son came to me and said, I never thought it'd be him. I thought it was going to be me.
Right.
And it just, for him to go because of an opioid that he was so set against that his brother was using, but coke's no big deal.
Right.
You don't know who's putting what
Nope.
where anymore.
No.
So you talked a little bit about CJ's younger brother having some success on MAT, on medically assisted treatment. We encourage, people, every pathway to recovery. We encourage those who are on MAT to celebrate their clean time. Those are successes. Staying away from, heroin and using that medically assisted treatment or whatever your drug of choice is. And so let's talk about some of that success you had with that and how you feel about that.
You're so good, Mike.
That's why we brought him.
I know.
I gotta be good for something.
That's such a great question. Whether it's Suboxone, prescription methadone, Vivitrol. Let's hear your opinion.
We haven't had many people on it that could really talk about it because they've been like 12-step people or abstinence people, but that's not the only way to be in recovery. So
right.
I want to talk about your perspective on how you feel about that, good, bad, or indifferent. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Right. I'm with you that anything that's I don't care if it's gummy bears.
Right.
If he's gonna take gummy bears every day and not use.
Right.
So be it.
I know for a fact at the beginning there was some abuse with it. He also they gave him gabapentin, they gave him this, they gave him that, and it's like, what the hell have you got here? You got a pharmacy,
Right.
You make it look small, but it's working for him. The Vivitrol, he did it for 3 months. He really didn't like it. It started to run out after the 26 days, 28 days, 27 days, and then you got to wait to get the shot.
Yeah, that was the window.
This very small window.
Right.
I own a taxi company in Waltham. I have customers that go to Bay Hill Road for methadone daily basis. And it works for them. I talked to somebody yesterday, talked to her yesterday. She wouldn't be where she is today. She's got a full-time job. She's working. She has to go. She's going every day because she just moved into the area.
Mm-hmm.
And now they make her go, whereas where she was before, they would give her an amount. But they want to make sure that she's doing what she's supposed to be doing.
Right.
Like she said to me, she wouldn't be where she is, and she wouldn't have her daughter. She wouldn't be living with her mother and getting support from her mother if she was the way she was before the treatment.
Right. And I'm a big advocate of prescription methadone. I'm someone that it's worked for me, and it's, if it's turning your life around and you're not abusing it and you have a better way of life, and that doesn't have to be just your recovery, right? Like just going to get your prescription methadone or going to get your Suboxone. But if you suddenly are opened up to a whole new world, whatever your support may be, if it's not meetings, it's not meetings. If it's yoga, if it's boxing, if it's going to the gym, if it's going to church, whatever. But if your life has turned around, then you're in recovery, and
that's right.
You're changed, and it's better than dying on the street or sticking a needle in your arm or sticking a straw up your nose. So who is anyone to say that someone on any medication like that, because it's a medical issue, right? We're all in agreement. This is a medical issue. It's not a moral issue. The someone who suffers from addiction is not a bad person. It's something that we have to deal with, and you know, and it's what we have to do to survive and grow. And so, I think it's amazing what you just said about a woman that has to go every day, but look at her life. You know, she has her custody of her kids or custody of her daughter. She's not homeless on the street or in some crack house because of medication that so many people, I feel like it's changed a lot and more people are opened up to it because they're seeing the evidence in it. You know, they're seeing people thrive, and you don't see the people on the clinic who have 8 take-homes and a full-time job and are going there once a week. You know, you don't see those people. And I know people like that personally that without MAT, their life wouldn't be what it is right now because that just wasn't their way. They tried meetings or they tried this or they tried that. And this is just another pathway that we can't block the door to anymore.
Right.
Amen. Amen, sister.
Amen. Blue Iris Bowman actually just said, finally, someone supporting evidence-based treatment. Yeah, you guys, we need more places that support MAT. Thank you, Blue Iris. And Chris Albino says, love you, Lev.
Hey, my man, Big Chris.
So that's what happens. We kind of interrupt each other sometimes with comments. Or I interrupt Mike with comments.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So what's next? Tell us a little bit more about Learn to Cope. Is it like curriculum based? Like do they teach people? Is it a method, or is it pretty much just like peer-to-peer support?
Peer-to-peer support. Throw you to the wolves. I mean, my first meeting I went into, and there was somebody that was talking about their daughter being, taking her daughter to the airport, putting her on a plane, sending her to Arizona. Somebody was meeting the plane, and she was getting committed treatment her 17th time. And it's like, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to get into this that far.
Right.
There are people that have spent well over hundreds of thousands of dollars to treat a child.
I know.
And
it's expensive.
And it's like I said about my son, the geography isn't going to change it. My son, who's a heroin addict, had said to me, you could take me and put me in Timbuktu, and when the time came that I needed something, I could find it.
Absolutely. We are very,
there it is. So
we
geographical doesn't change it.
No.
And you know, we're finding, like with the Learn to Cope, a lot of times what is helping the person with the substance use disorder is when the family finally says, I've had enough. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting around waiting for a phone call or a text message or anything like that. I have to take care of me, because addiction is a family sport. Everybody participates sooner or later.
Right.
Right. Amen.
There's your one-liner, Mike, for the night.
I like that. Yep. I love it.
Addiction, it's so true.
Whether you want to get in the game or not,
yeah,
you're going to be forced to. It's going to be your time. They're going to call your number at some point.
You know, and
you better be prepared. You better be educated.
If you're in the game, you can't be a spectator.
No,
that's right.
We try to educate the people with the meetings that you're going to have a problem sooner or later. If your child or loved one is suffering with an addiction problem, a substance use disorder, I'm trying to. I mean, when I first started 4 years ago, going to Learn to Cope, my child had an addiction. Now it's a substance use disorder.
Right.
Right. They've softened the language a little bit.
They softened the language.
Mm-hmm.
But like you were saying earlier, it's a stigma. It's,
Yep.
you know, addict sounds terrible.
Yep. That's the roof of someone's house, an attic.
Yeah, I like that. I
Okay.
like that.
I mean, you know, my oldest son would torment his brother and call him a junkie.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the J word.
And
the
that's-
J word. Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, so now it's a substance use disorder. It's,
Yep.
you know, medically assisted treatment.
Right.
At one
Prescription
time,
methadone.
yes, prescription methadone. It's, you know, we're gonna make it better by being able to talk about it without the negativity of the wording.
So I have a question. So when your older son passed away, were you forthcoming about that he died of an overdose?
Didn't know it right away.
I didn't, well, meaning when?
Like when people would ask how he passed away, did you say, you know, it's due to drugs or substances? Because I know
Um,
families have sometimes a hard time, you know, saying outright, this person died of addiction, or they died suddenly, and talking about it.
I, even at his service, I told people that it was an accidental, that's what I was told,
Yeah.
you know, that it was an accidental overdose, and that's how they ruled it.
Right. So you didn't shame away from that. You didn't say, oh, he just died suddenly. You were using the terms accidental overdose.
Right, but see, in my defense on that is, he didn't abuse, the only substance he abused was alcohol.
Right.
So for him to have, I know that alcohol will kill somebody, but I really couldn't say, because I really couldn't say that he was an addict.
Right.
This was the true an accidental overdose in the truest sense, where
Right.
he wasn't given the drug that he was expecting, and he
Yeah.
died through
Right.
a drug, by a drug that he wasn't expecting to receive.
Right. I was just curious if you even, I think it does break down the stigma, you saying an accidental overdose, instead of some people saying, oh, they got in a car accident, or, you know, his heart stopped, you know, shying away from the overdose word entirely. So
Right.
that's why I was curious if you were like you did say, yes, this was an accidental overdose.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go, because I don't know, I've never been in the situation, so I can't say what I would do. But
Well, is that a signal?
Oh,
What?
no, I'm just, my head's
Time out.
that means steal second.
Okay. No, I mean, my ex-wife couldn't fathom the thought that he died from a drug,
right.
you know? I mean, her words to me was, he doesn't do drugs.
Right.
Well, he was, and it happened. So we have to
Right.
deal with it. And I will say that within 6 hours of people finding out that he had passed away, there were 2 facilitators from Learn to Cope at my house.
Wow.
They live in Natick and Framingham. They came here. They were here within probably 6 to 8 hours. They were here at my house. And then the whole Framingham group came to the service and stayed for the whole thing.
Look at that support, and you guys, it's so needed, you know, because
That's the biggest part about being part of a support group, even for addicts or I shouldn't say addicts, so for people who suffer from substance use disorder. I'm just so used to it because I do.
I see it too, but I just had to do the roof of the house when he said it.
So that's so important, whether it be for a parent or loved ones of people who suffer from substance use disorder, or the person that suffers from substance use disorder. Like, the connections are so important. Like, the support is so important, because you're stronger together. You're stronger, with a group. There's strength in numbers. So if you were going to fall, if you were down, at least you had some support. You had people to talk to. There's nothing like bottling up that pain and that, shame and guilt and not letting it out, because that's where the real resistance comes from internally.
And what's the opposite of addiction?
Connection.
Oh, that's what I was waiting for. But that was kind of a one-liner that you just said.
Which one?
I don't know what you were just saying about,
Oh yeah.
support, and I can't remember verbatim. I just know how it was a good one.
Any comments?
Kathy Bruden said there is unfortunately a stigma to all mental illness, including substance use disorder. So
That's true.
It's so true. Everything, bipolar, schizophrenia, everything. There's always that, people don't understand that these are diseases and it's not something that someone chooses to have.
Right.
And you have to learn how to, I'm grateful today that I suffer from the disease of addiction because I'm on the other side of it, and look at, the connections I've built through meetings and the support we have, and look at, you're a parent who has all this support from other parents who have either lost a child or still have a child in active addiction. And I just think it's so incredibly important. We can't do this alone.
And they're just on a quick note, the two women that came here that night both had twins with substance use disorders.
Wow.
Really?
And it was like, it was, one had twins and the other one had
Yeah.
2 sons. So it was like, they know. I mean, we're all in the same boat,
Yeah. Yeah.
We just have different oars.
Do you think that most of the people who go to Learn to Cope have lost children or have children that still suffer from the disease of addiction?
No, a lot of them are just dealing with the addiction problem.
Yeah.
Because the original Learn to Cope is not necessarily a grief group. It's a support. If you have there's a
Right.
separate one, right?
It started out as strictly support.
Support, right?
One of their branch offshoots is a grief.
The grief
group.
piece. Yeah.
It's not that big. That's only once a week. Learn to Cope is, I believe there's 5 nights a week. And we are as far south, it started here in Massachusetts. We're as far south as Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Wow.
That's
And
incredible.
yes.
Yeah, you can't even get that much more south.
Well, you can get a little bit more.
A little bit more, not much. Yeah,
Key
yeah.
West?
Key West, yeah, that's it.
What they found was people were going down there for vacation, and one of the women moved down there, and she said, "I'm gonna start this group," and we have people that left the Framingham group and get down there for the winter, and they would go to this Fort Lauderdale meeting.
Wow.
What a good segue. So how does one start Learn to Cope group?
Well,
And who's eligible to start one?
They want you to be a facilitator.
Right.
That was the one thing that I was pushing before this, whatever we want to call it, happened.
Coronavirus?
Coronavirus, pandemic,
COVID season.
COVID,
2020 in general?
2020 in general, yes. And we have a hurricane coming.
I know.
But I wanted to start one here in Waltham. And that's why I was doing the resource nights, was to try to get the word out there that we were going to be trying to do something here in Waltham. I've had some people from Waltham come out to Framingham. Some of them go to Dedham, some go to Cambridge.
Yeah.
It depends on what night it works for you. There's something fairly close. But I felt we needed something here in Waltham, and they were going to give me a room at the government center to do one, but Learn to Cope needed more people to say we'd like it closer. But now we're on Zoom.
Yeah.
I'm meeting with people from Dedham and Taunton
Yeah.
on Wednesday night. So you know, it's not the same as being there in person.
No, it's not. It's probably the same, just like with our meetings, it's just not the same connection. You can't, because I feel like when you go to meetings like that in person, you can feel everyone else's support. Even if they don't say anything to you, you can feel it.
Right.
And through Zoom, you don't have that same, you know, vibe. You know what I mean? It's like, right, Zoom doing this, I always feel like I'm interrupting poor Mike over there, whereas we're in person, I feel like I get, okay, I can sense his body language. He's now going to talk. Jessica, keep your mouth shut and let him go. You know, it's just not the same, but I guess we have to adapt with what, you know, we're dealing with right now. And at least there is those forms of support out there through Zoom Learn to Cope meetings,
Right.
you know, and Zoom AA meetings and NA meetings and everything else.
Right.
So we have a few minutes left. Again, just reminded everyone that we are now doing a live vigil for August being Overdose Awareness Month. Please send us your loved ones' names and we will read them off at 7:30 on Sundays during our Sundays at 7. Right?
And we're still looking for a courageous volunteer, first volunteer to celebrate their recovery time with us. So if you're on prescription methadone, if you're on Suboxone, Sublocade, Vivitrol, and you want to celebrate clean time and you haven't been able to celebrate, you know, recovery time, sober time, however you want to put it in the past, we want to give you a forum to do so. So please contact any one of us, myself, Julie Bunch, Deb Moore, Jessica Grillo, Kimberly, Linda, Richie Evans, Mandy McGowan, any of us, contact any of us, and we will get you connected to ways and means to celebrate your recovery time.
Yep, that was the dream team he just listed off. And also, our services are all free. We are still connecting. You know, Mike is unbelievable. Connecting people into treatment. Doesn't matter if your insurance, doesn't matter anything like that. If you need some extra care or some support or don't know what you need, if it's a PHP, if it's sober living, if it's detox, reach out to us and we will get you connected. And I didn't read the mission statement off in the beginning, so I can do that now. Mike, you didn't.
There you go. There you go.
So Greater Waltham Recovery Solutions mission is to raise funds and awareness to connect people into treatment, access to recovery coaches in the community, scholarships for veterans into treatment, and scholarshiping people into sober living.
Boom, nailed it. And yeah, like Jessica said, we're up and running. We want the calls. We want people to reach out. We want to be of maximum service possible to the community. This is our goal. This is why we all came together and did this. So please reach out to us. Quicker access into treatment, family consulting, recovery coaching, just many resources. All of us combined, we have many resources. So please reach out to us and let us help. That's what we're here for.
Boom. So
Question.
yes.
Sober homes in Waltham?
Well, our goal is to, that's another thing. If anyone wants to donate, we will put our Venmo and Cash App information on the page. We do need money to scholarship people into sober living and scholarship people into treatment. So that's another thing.
I think Charlie's asking us if we know of any.
Oh, know of any?
Yes.
I don't know of any in Waltham, to be honest, and I've come across a few people that have asked for sober living in this area. I know of Tharo's House in Lexington.
What about the Hurley House?
Hurley House is a halfway model, so not technically a sober house, but
see, I was quizzing you.
Hurley House is great. It's a phenomenal house. It's just a different format than a sober living. Yep.
It's just amazing that Mike can keep a track of all these different things in his brain. So I
have to.
Yeah, so we can figure that out for you, Charlie, and get back to you about some sober living options.
No worries. I mean, I'm not needing it now.
Okay.
But if it comes up, I need to, because we get questions all the time too. You know, who has beds open?
Right.
We get it a lot.
You can always contact me. I can give you my number offline. But please, I stay with those resources, 24/7. I deal with calls all day long, so I'm equipped. You can always call me. I'll have Julie or Deb send you my number.
Yeah, Deb will be my contact.
Deb will be a contact person. I'll have Deb send it over. You can contact me anytime.
Okay.
So thank you again, Charlie, for your being on here. with
Bravery.
us.
Thank you for your bravery in life and in what you're doing now with Learn to Cope and when your career. Thank you for your bravery. We need more people like you. Thank you, Charlie.
Well, thank you. I just want to throw in the plug. It's learn2cope.org.
Yeah,
24/7 support.
I love it.
Go by, check it out, see what's there, tell you where the groups are, what nights the groups are meeting. And if anybody has to get in touch with me, they can reach me through Debbie. If they needed to, wanted to attend a meeting.
Awesome. Well, thank you all, and thank you to all our viewers out there. And again, send us any names that you want us mentioning. And Mike, what's the closing line?
Everybody, don't forget, please, this is important. Leave the earth a better place than you found it.
Boom. Thanks, Mike.
Boom.